segment is officially approve the opportunity for. And so if we could stop the work session of this and open up a special call meeting, then I'll make the recommendation that we move forward with the IU partnership. So
let's open back up our meeting, and any discussions on this part?
Please, we want to tell you something.
Awesome.
I was just sharing with one of you that the Sam, who you encountered in there, all of the characters that they'll encounter, there'll be 5 different scenarios, and they're in Philadelphia while the convention is going on. But we didn't want them to talk to John Adams. Well, they can't talk to John Adams. He's in England. If we've seen Hamilton, we know that. We don't want them to talk to Benjamin Franklin or George Washington or James Madison, because those are what everybody learns about. What we want them to learn is what his life was like for the average person. So this apprentice that you encounter, Sam, is like a 12-year-old apprentice. And the workshop he's in is based on Benjamin Franklin's workshop. So I actually went to Philadelphia, took pictures of the recreation of Franklin's workshop, and that workshop did print the drafts of the Constitution while they're working on it. So their conversation with Sam is going to encompass like this information about the Constitutional Convention and what's going on, but then it'll also encompass what is his life like. So it's based on actual indentures of kids their age. So we have the indenture of both a boy and a girl, of Letitia Beard and John Henry Coates, and like the lesson that we have to go with it is we'll actually have them look at the indentures and play around with the indentures for a few minutes before they go in. Well, that's how Whitney and I are going to teach it. Teachers can teach it however they want, as we all know, and so they'll have the opportunity to actually interact with this primary source, work on talking about the primary source, and then kind of go and see the primary source come to life. And we want them to try to build this empathy with this person who is their age and try to learn what was life like. And then also, you know, part of the goal is this is empathy is an important civic skill to be able to try to understand. I know that whenever I teach, one of my favorite books I assign to students is 13 Days, the one about the Cuban Missile Crisis that not John F. Kennedy, his brother, RFK, I think, wrote it. And he says the most important thing that Kennedy did during those 13 days was to try to walk in Khrushchev's shoes. Like before they made a decision, just on the spot and, you know, started a nuclear war, is to like walk in his shoes. And that's kind of one of those civic skills that we don't do enough of. So that's just one of the many civic skills that book that I feel like the VR really helps with that. And their lives are so visual anyway. What else, Whitney?
I was really excited when we built this lesson the other day, how beautifully it works with building thinking classrooms too, and opening that line of inquiry for all the students, that we're not just talking at them all the time, that they're getting to experience and start to build their own ideas, which builds that conversational piece too, that obviously goes along with civics and that open line of communication.
And why do people make choices that they do? Like, to think about, why would their parents sign an indenture? Why would a person, like, how different was their life? What were the expectations about childhood? Like, adolescence didn't exist. The idea that these guys are sitting playing VR in school, and these indentures that they're reading are kids who are now separated from their families. You know, they're moved into adult life, like at age 10. They have no control, you know, over their lives. Their indentures say they're bound, you know, to this person who's supposed to be teaching them a job skill, which does connect to today when we talk about one of the big modifications they're talking about in our high school diplomas, right? Is for these kids to graduate with some sort of job skill. Well, these kids are starting out whenever they're 12.
I think this is fantastic that you use the word that they can learn empathy, because, you know, I'm in mental health, obviously. Empathy is a really hard thing to teach some kids. And this, it could be a game changer for some of our stubborn kids, where we're just like, let us pour in so that you can, you know, feel that. So that's just bravo to you guys, because this is so cool for the new opportunities you guys are opening up for kids.
And just that, you know, across modalities, that we can work with the primary source and actually looking at the primary source, building all those inquiry skills, but also like kids with limited language, kids with low reading ability, which, you know, your school district, I was at the last school board meeting, I know that your iRead scores are really good. But still, you know, to try to reach across in the 5 scenarios that they will have in this particular module. The next one is a woman business owner. So she's an upholsterer, and it's like kind of based on Betsy Ross's house is what we had as the building to build the construction. An immigrant who just arrived, so to talk about like, why did you come to the United States? What was the voyage like? What are you going to do whenever you get here? So help me think, oh, the black experience, and we'll have 2 black experiences because we'll have an enslaved person and a free person. So we want either one of those to represent the black experience, which of course is still, you know, almost impossible, and then an indigenous person. So there was a group of different indigenous chiefs who came to Philadelphia during the Constitutional Convention and wanted to address the delegates. And parts of the Constitution actually are traced to the Hapotani. I'm still, you know, I learned Iroquois and still having trouble, you know, pronouncing the words correctly. You know, parts of their Constitution show up in our Constitution, so they'll have these 5 different scenarios of different groups of people to try to understand their experience. The immigrant person that we have coming, we found him on a ship, and I don't know if you knew this because I don't think that I really knew this, but we had convict ships that came to the U.S. too, not just Georgia. Like I knew Georgia, right? But we had convict ships coming all the way until 1776, until the Revolution. And our John Taylor, who was a tailor, which is another lesson for kids about like how last names came about, like Cooper, Smith, all those people were their professions. So he arrives on this ship, the Jenny, which is the last ship bearing convicts to come into what is now the United States. But we then find him in the 1790 census. So we have all of his information on the ship manifest. We have the manifest showing like where he came from and everything. But now we have him in the census of 1790. So 1790 is our first census decreed by the Constitution, and that's how we, you know, have our system of government. And he's married and has 12 kids by 1790. So we can trace it historically, which is pretty cool. Sorry,
we love your passion.
Yes, the passion and just so excited.
So I would recommend that we allow Whitney and CYS to move forward with this VR pilot project. And also there'll be an assessment for the kids. That's one thing that the kids will get, is to make sure that we're on pace with the standards that we have to teach. So with that, I'd recommend for you that we allow this to happen.
Can we take motions? First, second, all those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed?
Congratulations.
Hi, how are you? I'm Mandy Ramey, if you don't know. I am our instructional coach here at Custer Baker. And then we have Tammy Schneider, our assistant principal. So we're just going to kind of go over some of the great things that Custer Baker is doing right now. We have our newest, I guess our biggest news, which we announced at the last school board meeting, was that we were honored with the AMLE School of Distinction, which is a huge honor because there are only 17 schools in the nation that received this. It was a very difficult application process. You had to do a report with them. Like we did a book study right around the time of COVID with AMLE, and they guided us through. They interviewed all of our stakeholders, our students, us as teachers, our parents, and they found some things that we were doing great and talked to us about, like, hey, keep doing these things. And then they also gave us some advice on like areas where we could improve for this unique age of students. We're not elementary, we're not middle school. And so we have a very unique group of students here for a short amount of time. And so how can we make that experience good for them? And so those are the things that we've been working on. We received a grant through AMLE that gave us funding for BizTown. So all of our 5th graders have a careers class where they learn how to write a job application. They learn about the difference between a debit card and a credit card. I don't know about you guys, but my kids think that you just give somebody a card and it always has money on it. And they don't understand how that works. They don't understand what borrowing money and paying interest. And so our careers class does that for them. And then they will go on a field trip to BizTown, and they will be in a simulated city. So they will have jobs from mayor to a UPS worker to running Radio Disney, and they will have paychecks, they will have to go shopping, they will have to pay their bills, and so it's a great simulation experience for them. We also have added into that a tour of Franklin for 5th grade students, where some of our area businesses talk to the kids about jobs that they will do at BizTown, but what does it look like in our city of Franklin, which has been a great experience for them. Sixth grade does something also with careers. They have a career day in the spring. And so we're just really trying to get kids thinking about what future opportunities have for them, and that their future job may not even be created at this point. Other great things that we're doing, the sixth grade go on a Columbus youth camp, which if you just saw the kid flying in the air, they've been going this week and next week. And it's just a lot about team building and just kind of understanding different things about yourself and how to cheer on your kids that are in your team. So we're really focused on teaming here at Custer Baker, which is another great thing. Right now, over in our, off of our library, we have a studio where the students run their announcements, and they are completely running it today. I went over and checked with them, and I said, hey, I'm not gonna be in here today. Miss Bryan will come in for her part of the announcements, but like, you guys are running it. And they run the teleprompter, they change the background for the green screens. There are a couple things, normally Miss Chandler runs it, but she's out on maternity leave. There are a couple things that only the students know how to do with the sound that I don't even know how to do, so they completely run the announcements, which is just an awesome opportunity for them. Some other great things that we're doing here at Custer Baker, we have tons of opportunities for kids where it comes to academic competitions. We have all kinds of sports intramurals. I know with announcements every day I'm introducing a new club, pickleball, or a friendship club, or a STEM club. I mean, there's just, the opportunities to be involved here are just continuing to grow, and it's, I think it's really great to be at Custer Baker right now.
And that's one of the things that came out of our book study, and also the analysis really that AMLE gave to us. Our teachers met with them once a month with Katie from AMLE. We did Google Meet Zoom conferences with her once a month. And so the staff would read part of the book, and then we would discuss that, but then she would tie it into our analysis. And one of the things that came up, which we kind of already knew, but we wanted to provide more opportunities for our kids. And so since Cheryl started here, that was one of her main goals, was to provide more opportunities for our fifth graders especially, because our sixth graders tie into the middle school for sports, but we needed more activities for the kids. So we kind of started that before that AMLE journey, of all different kinds of clubs, and we would do them in the hallways during lunch. Any club the child wanted to start. We had a Rubik's Cube club that the kids ran themselves. So it was
Kids
just
have
maybe
created
more
anime
intentional.
clubs, we've had volleyball intramurals, we had tennis, we
Crochet
had,
club,
yeah, I
comic
mean,
book club.
it's,
so
the
we have a lot.
possibilities are endless, and what's great is, yeah, that Mrs. Moran has opened it up to, if kids can find if they have a passion for something in a club that they want to create, then as long as they can present it, if they have an adult that they can have sponsor it, that's perfect. If not, we will find an adult to help them with that passion. So that's how Crochet and Anime Club and the Rubik's Cube Club and the Pokemon Club, like the kids have found a passion and asked for that. So that's another fantastic thing. Whitney alluded to building thinking classrooms. So in our push to for conceptual learning and making sure that we are having our students engaged from the time that they walk in the building till they leave, we are really trying to get students up, engaged, collaborating, communicating, because these are skills that, yes, absolute value is a great skill to have when you leave, but will you use it? I don't know, but communication and collaboration is something that you will use. And so working on those with our students, especially post-COVID, that was a big struggle. They weren't talking to each other. And so if you notice when we go, you tour the building, a lot of our classes are going to be up and talking to each other, or having moments in their class periods where they are working together and coming to answers and really pushing kids to think critically and getting them to get to the understanding a little more on their own than just continuing to deliver information at them. So I love this journey that we're on. Any questions that you guys have?
Was BizTown a one-day thing, or was that like a week long?
So it's a one-day thing. It's all day long. It is in Indianapolis. We get there probably around 9 o'clock and we leave around 1:15. There are a lot of steps, though, that we have to do in order to go and visit there. They have to have create a job application. They have to, within their teams, will create businesses. And so they'll tell us, like, we'll have a UPS business, we will have a Radio Disney, and they will have to create the radio advertisement that the kids will then read at Radio Disney. They will have to create a flyer advertisement that will go into the newspaper, which there's a newspaper business. They will have to create a business plan of, like, they will find out everybody who's employed, what they get paid, and then figure out how much it's going to cost for their business, and then how to make a profit from that during their day at BizTown. So there are a lot of aspects that we have to complete in order to be able to go, which is what we work on in careers class, and then some of the teams have to do that within their team also before they go.
There's a mayor, so they have a town meeting in the morning, and
Yeah.
I love that. There's a police officer that gives speeding tickets.
Yeah, 'cause there's like a grass in the middle, so if they cut through that, they can have tickets written to them. They also, there is a flight experience, a VR flight experience with Republic Airways, and so they will also, in their break time during their lunch, they can go see a travel agent and talk about like if it's in their budget in order to do things like that. So it's a great experience. I mean, I think, yeah, Robin went with us.
They also have a lunch break. And so during their lunch break, that's when you can go to the doctor, vote, go to the post office, and they're like, I don't have enough time to get all this done. And we're all like, we know.
Or like, I don't have any more money. I'm aware. What do you may need a second job. So, but it's just been great conversations because they come back and, you know, we talk about a couple kids the first year we went, they didn't vote. And it's like, oh, well, you had no choice, and then what happened? Oh my gosh, like, this is important, I need to vote. And so just getting them to realize in these, even though it's a simulation experience, they're coming back and I don't have enough time. Okay, let's maybe give our parents a little slack sometimes. But also, like, think about, you had to kind of plan out your time. You know, if we went back, that was the question we come back and ask, like, what would you do differently? And so they always are thinking about, like, how they could have spent their time better and stuff like that. So it was a great reflective experience to come back and have as well.
So in answer to your question too, with the one-day, it's a one-day experience there, but it's months of preparation. And Junior Achievement actually sends us curriculum to use with the kids. And they've updated it, so it's online now and that type of thing. But it's actually through Junior Achievement.
Yep. Any other questions that we can answer for you? If you would like, we could take a look at students running the daily announcements if you want, so that you can see. Our setup is pretty unique in there with the green screen and the teleprompter and how they run it. There's about 10 or 11 kids in there that kind of do their own, and then we rotate them out as they have experiences, but that's up to you.
And that's going on right now. We'll go over it.
I knew it's time.
Aww.
I knew I've seen it before.
So fill in for Austin.
I knew I've seen you.
So, like, his job is going to, as the different people speak,
Okay,
names
let's do the mentor.
and he is changing the categories because we have two different cameras, so depending on who's speaking. Cooper's great because he's one who runs all the sound.
Okay, I'm
and
gonna
knows
start
how to
running
turn it up.
it. Practice. And background.
And then she will change the backgrounds for the green screen. And then looks like we have a student that's absent or not here yet, probably coming off the bus, but they run through the teleprompter. And then
Good morning, I'm Margaret Chipman and happy Friday, and today is a great reminder to let go of grudges and practice kindness towards others. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence.
Okay, we run through. Counselors Talk. Talk show 1. Go.
And today, happy birthday, Parker Philbrick. Tomorrow, Karma and Cruz Hartzell, Jet Holder, and Ella Romero have birthdays. Happy early birthday to you. Please come down for your birthday pencil after announcements. Our character trait for the month of December is...
Well, thank you guys for having me here today. I know that we're on a very limited time crunch, so I'm going to talk really fast, and I'm sorry because I have a lot of information that I want to push out. So please stop me if you guys have any questions. So real quick, this is our mental health systems of support. So really, I just wanted to point out the top two. So Tier 3, think about that as one-on-one, where my staff, our social workers are working with kids one-on-one, but it's also our adult and child, Centerstone, Bowen Center, who we partner with. And then Tier 2, think of that level as like groups, so banana splits or divorce and things of that nature. Because I'll talk about Tier 1 and Tier 2. And the Tier 2 and Tier 3, they're more targeted interventions for kids, whereas Tier 1, that is for all the kids in the school. And I'm going to talk about some data, but real quick, I just wanted you guys to see my awesome team. And then in the upper left-hand corner, that's Miss Brooke Buckner. She is the mental health support team member for CBIS. So last year, my team served 538 students, which I think is fantastic. However, looking at the breakdown, CBIS has one mental health support team person, whereas the middle school and the high school have 2 each. At the middle school, at CBIS, we have about 725 students on the master enrollment. So about 15% of our population of kids were receiving some sort of mental health service. And she served 108 students. That's quite a bit for somebody who is on their own, because as you can see, the middle school, they have 2 individuals. Yes, they were able to serve 174 kids, but that's only 87 apiece. At the high school, that's obviously a much larger enrollment population. They were able to serve 256, and that's about 128 students per mental health support team member. So as you can see, our CBIS girl, she's running around. She's running ragged every day. We wanted to show a little bit just the increase. So what this means is direct service. So my team, I have them collect data. So they're writing notes, they're very brief notes and whatnot, but what we're able to do is just see trends and patterns and whatnot, and it helps us with planning for the next year. And so from 2021-22, which is blue, all the way to the yellowy for 899, that's a 98% increase in services provided to kids. So that's pretty significant. And as you can see, each year we have had this position where we've been collecting data. There's been an increase of services provided to our students. And this is where we're talking about that Tier 3 support. So she's working one-on-one with our kids. Tier 2 support, she is running groups. We usually take a couple of months to kind of see what the kids are needing, because every year is a little something different. So groups haven't started yet, but they will start soon based on what we're seeing right now. And so she will be running those probably after fall break, I would imagine. She's also responsible very heavily for completing suicide risk assessments, threat assessments, reentry care plans. What that means very briefly is anytime a student is out for a period of time, we like to have a meeting with the family and with teachers or with administration, whomever needs to be there, to have a conversation of how best can we support this student when they re-enter the school building. So here is some data. So we collect on the top presenting concerns in CBIS in the bold. Those are the top 5 that we were dealing with as far as last year. And sadly, we had a lot of grief and loss happening. So we had a lot of kids that were really, really struggling very hard with trying to understand. And this could be a grief from losing an actual human or actually losing a pet, because we have a lot of kids that pet is their person. And if they lose that, that can really rock their world and cause some mental health issues. So that's a pretty significant increase right there. This is just a different viewpoint of that. Of what this looks like, and you can see that anxiety typically reigns the number 1, and anxiety remains high for CBIS middle school and high school. That usually is the top presenting concern. I did added for currently right now, what we're seeing in the first 38 days of school or so is peer conflict, which this is definitely on the rise. I have a feeling that this has to do with social media. Kids need to learn how to argue with each other, how to debate each other without it coming into something more massive. So peer conflict is on the rise in what we're seeing from the data. But anxiety is right up there, and family issues. Family issues, as of right now, is the top leading concern why our kids are struggling with suicidal ideation, which is really heartbreaking in that sense.
When you say anxiety, like, is there a drill down there on why kids are feeling anxious?
It's honestly a multitude of reasons. It's family pressure, stress from school, academics, sports, friendship conflicts. The grief and loss was a huge thing. I mean, it really runs the gamut. And most of our kids are struggling with multiple aspects of that, which increase their anxiety. It's a great question.
Kim, can you kind of pull a thread a little bit? How do you guys find that out? So a kid loses Fluffy the dog. And how do you all find it out to go talk to the kid?
So we get referrals, we could get referrals from teachers, you could get referrals from me, you could get referrals from Terrell. I just combined Cheryl and Tammy together.
Now she has anxiety.
So yeah, we can get it from Terrell.
Also on their Chromebooks, it's up in the corner of their Chromebook, the CBS links.
Okay.
It's a Can We Talk form, so the kids can confidentially fill that out, right? And,
Absolutely.
so the counselors. Yeah,
Yes,
some of it
sometimes
does
it
come
comes
from
with
Stop
Stop
It.
It
Good point.
reports.
So, but the Can We Talk form, we get a lot of
Correct.
kids filling that out. So.
And sometimes our school counselors will be seeing a kiddo and realize that it's out of their scope. And so then they make a referral to Brooke Buckner, our mental health support team member. So, or sometimes we also get calls from parents or emails from parents saying, hey, X, Y, and Z is going on with my kiddo. Can you see how you can best support them? So now we're just going to really quickly talk about suicide risk assessments. CBIS saw a 20% increase, but there's some other data there that you can see. Again, just a different viewpoint of where we're at. They had 54 suicide risk assessments last year, which that's where it showed the 20% increase. In regards to the one number that we didn't like to see is the very bottom. High risk went up. Again, that's only one, and that equates to 20%. But that's the number that we don't want to see high. The moderate and high risk level, we want to see those numbers very low. And as you can see, the no and low risk, those were the top two for completed risk assessments. So again, kids are talking about suicidal ideation and where that lies, but we were very happy to see, at least last year, most of the risk assessments completed were in the no and low range. This year, however, it looks different so far in the first 38 days of school. So again, the first box on the left, you can see that from the start of when we started collecting data to where we're at now, that's been a 671% increase of completed suicide risk assessments, and it's grown every single year since then. Again, like I showed you on the right, and we talked about, that you can see the moderate and high risk has been the lower area, and we've had more risk assessments completed, and they've been in the no and low. However, this year it's already looking different, where it's flipped a little bit, and now CBIS currently has the highest number of students whose risk level is in the moderate and high range. So again, I'm going to be talking to my team, which we already have. We meet monthly, and so we're going to need to put a game plan together of what this looks like and how best we can support kids. And the current data trend right now, where we stand, shows that we're approximately, if we stay the pace right now, we're going to see 59 assessments completed, which is just it's another increase. We don't want to see increases, so we've got some work to do. Oops, my bad. This is just by grade level. So again, last year, 5th grade had a decrease, 6th grade had an increase, but this year we're already trending the opposite. That 5th grade is seeing higher numbers, and 6th grade is seeing lower. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out at the end of the year. And again, I'm making an approximation. I'm just forecasting based on the data. So this just shows you very quickly what we're looking at as far as the differences for the grade levels. So we're looking at maybe a possibility of an increase of 40 assessments for 5th grade and 19 for 6th grade. Moving on to threat assessments, this is very quickly. CBIS doesn't really have a lot of issues that warrant the level of a threat assessment. A threat assessment means this is homicidal ideation, this is having a plan for anything homicidal related. This is also a threat to property, threat to others, things of that nature. So as of last school year, CBIS completed 3 threat assessments there, which again, we saw that was a 200% increase. But the majority of them were transient. And transient, low and transient, or wherever we want to see them, transient typically just means that there was enough to say there was an issue, but it didn't elevate to the level where we needed, police involvement and other things in regards to that. Again, no real major information here on threats, which we like to see this, so this is happy data for us. And as of right now, the first 38 days of school, CBIS does not have any threat assessments completed. However, in the middle school and high school, we do have some. Just talking about DCS, I wanted to definitely show that the 5th and 6th grade class, so CBIS alone, but 5th and 6th grade, they typically have the highest number of DCS reports in the entire district. So, and you can see that shared from this information. Right now, as it stands for this current school year, we are the second highest in reporting DCS reports. Physical abuse tends to be the #1 issue that we see here across the board. It was the same data for CBIS that it was for the district, so I just kind of left this here as a all-encompassing view.
Kim, how many are substantiated reports after we send information in?
That's a great question. So it ranges from about 50-50. So, you know, if we have 100 reports made, 50 of them are substantiated, 50 of them are not. And so we still have some education to do because there are some reports being made that don't really warrant the level of making a DCS report. But again, we teach everybody in the buildings, err on the side of caution. If you know something is going on and you're unsure, make the call. So that's where we lie. So that was that's a lot of information. I splashed you with a fire hose with that, but does anybody have any questions whatsoever?
Do you feel like you've reached a level here at CBIS that another person is needed?
Oh, Becky, I just love
that?
you. I this is just really big right there for you. 100%, yes. I think the school counselors would say absolutely. I think Tammy would agree. You know, when we're looking at comparing data between CBIS and the middle school, we almost have identical numbers. So we have 2 at the middle school, so why not 2 at CBIS? So I know that Ms. Buckner, she would appreciate it because again, morning to night, she is running, you know, to try to address all the needs because our school counselors, they already have a big job. You know, that's big time academic focused and whatnot, so we need more mental health support here. And based on the numbers, you know, and what we're seeing, whether it be suicide risk or DCS reports and things like that, it really supports why we need a second person here, in my opinion.
Brooke, you want to address kind of what's happening?
So part of what we're trying to do, we've been struggling the last, I would say, 2 years? Yeah. We have a position posted for an additional school counselor to assist with some of these components, especially like groups or suicide ideation, for Union to split their position that Ellen is currently sitting in with a half person here. That position has been posted for 2 years. We have struggled to find someone. Ellen agreed to come back and help us in a part-time role. So she is at Union because they would have no one without her support. So we still have an opening for a half-time person here at CBIS. So that's currently the plan. We have, as many of you know, CBIS is also down. Sandra came back to help us. We keep bringing back our retired school counselors. She came back to help us this semester at Creekside. But we have both positions posted right now, so we're working aggressively to try and get those filled. But I think the data, it's in the data. We do need some additional support.
Why has it been so hard to find somebody for those positions? Is nobody coming out of college with those degrees?
So it's hard to find teachers.
Right,
It's
same
hard to
thing.
find counselors. It's a highly competitive market.
And sometimes it's difficult in the school counselor range because you have to build rapport with the kids, with the administration of the building and whatnot. And when you're split between 2 buildings, that can be a little bit more challenging. And some, individuals just really want to stick to that one building. So that also, I think, plays a part. Anybody else have any questions? Oh, these are great. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much.
Part of this, as you know, this is all coming out of the safety piece of the referendum. So when you're talking about the social workers or different opportunities and programs that we're offering our students to help them do well in school, it's the referendum. We'll continue over the next probably 2.5, 3 years. Can you share what we're doing? Talking about it. The data's pretty stark. If you are just sitting there watching us and not knowing us, the data kind of speaks to itself. So that's what we're doing over next time. So the next time we visit, we'll do it from the high school perspective or the middle school perspective. And then we'll continue to have a larger engaged conversation as well. Kim, nice job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have any other questions as we're sitting here in discussion about mental health or CBIS? The one thing I would highlight, if you go back, that picture right there with the heart hands, that was part of a senior project. One of our students this past year went to CBIS, obviously, and their give back was this mural, and it's actually right around here on the corner. If you walk by, you'll see it. But you're seeing some of the different things in that connective piece of the senior projects and how they are impacting both our internal community, but also our external community.